much does it cost to live in West Virginia? I know several of you are wondering because you've asked. That's exactly what we're going to be discussing today on Hey, thanks for joining me for this episode of Homesteading West Virginia, this semi-weekly, maybe, web show where I discuss some of what I learned as a budding homesteader and local realtor here in the Mountain State. If you're interested in living a more self-sufficient life or you just want more information on the state of West Virginia, please click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so that you're notified of new content. If you're done searching and ready to take the next step and start actually looking for property here in West Virginia, all of my information is in the description. I would love to help get you started on your journey to a more satisfying and fulfilling life right here in my home state. In today's episode, we will be interviewing Katie Stewart. She is a local realtor. She specializes in homes and land in north central West Virginia, but she's also willing to travel just a bit to help you find the perfect place to plant your roots. If you stay tuned to the end of this episode, I have a very exciting announcement that you won't want to miss. So, without further ado, let's get into the cost of living in West Virginia. To get a basis, do you rent or own your home?
I own my home, currently pay a mortgage on it. We bought the land for cash, and then we put a modular home on it, and I pay around $300 a month, and that's on a 15-year adjustable rate mortgage.
How long ago did you get your modular?
I bought my modular in 2011.
Do you happen to know cost-wise how much maybe that's changed for modulars?
I have looked as we just bought more property that's not adjoining that we're going to build on. I have been tracking the costs of lumber and steel and things like that, and modulars. Modulars seem to be about the same price it was back in 2011. The key to modulars is to lock in your price, and I think they give you about a 6 to 9 month window. When you do that, then your price isn't going to go up just because lumber has went up.
So how much land do you have?
Currently I have 8 acres where we live now, and we just purchased a little over 17 acres.
The house that you built, that modular, how big is it?
It's small. Just over 1,000 square feet.
As a realtor, how much would you expect to pay for like if you were to buy your property already set up as is, how much would you expect to pay for that property?
Probably about around $130,000 to $150,000 the way it sits right now. It is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house.
Are you familiar with the rental market at all?
I am. I rented, seems like eons ago, when I was going to college up at WVU, but Morgantown rent rates are really high. Marion County is comparable to an extent because we are also a university county. A 2-bedroom typically runs around $800 a month, sometimes reaching into the $1,000 range, which is vastly higher than a mortgage.
We've discussed in the past that you have had to pay or that you know about the daycare prices. For those who don't, like maybe they're moving from out of state, they're going to have kids, they're going to have to work at first or whatever, what would they be looking at as far as the cost of childcare if they ended up in this north central area? Like I know some of the more rural areas are going to be cheaper than this, some of like Morgantown proper is going to be more expensive, but what is the generalized?
So generally we're pretty comparative to everywhere else in America in terms of full day daycare. You can look at anywhere from $800 to as expensive as maybe $1,400 or $1,500 a month. It depends on where it is, whether it's in the city, whether it's rural, like you said, and what all they're asking for. Are you bringing snack? Are they providing food and meals? And is it just after school care? Is it before school care? Is it all day care? So there's a lot of factors that go into that. But like I said, it ranges anywhere from about $800 to as expensive as maybe $1,500 a month.
Okay, and that's for like one kid?
That I would say that was for one, maybe I would say $800 to $1,000 here in Marion County for one kid.
from what I can tell, the cost of food in West Virginia is pretty close to the national average. What would be your thoughts on that? Would you say that it's that you eat a relatively healthy standard diet? And if so, what do you see as the cost of food in West Virginia?
I think cost of food is, like you said, is close to the national average. It definitely depends on where you shop and how you shop. I like to shop at Aldi's. It is a discount store. There's very few things that I don't buy from there, and if I do have to do that, then I supplement through Walmart. In the summer times when the farmers market is out, I love the farmers market. I love to buy local. I love to buy for eggs from the neighbors who have chickens, and that is a big thing around here. Neighbors helping neighbors, and you buy from them, and then maybe they'll give you a discount the next go around. I love going apple picking in the fall and going to strawberries and blueberry farms that we have around here to get some produce. I try to stay out of the grocery stores as much as possible. Mm-hmm. I like to only go about once every 2 weeks if possible. And typically for us, we eat a pretty standard diet. I mean, meat, potatoes, vegetables. I mean, we don't stray too far off.
Okay. And how much for your family of 5 or per person, if you did the math, would you say how much do you spend a month on groceries?
I would say probably close to $500 to $600, just kind of depending on what the season is.
Basically like an average of $100 a person per month.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually what the budget people tell you should be spending, but in my experience, a lot of people spend a lot more than that. In West Virginia, it's definitely doable. And even like she said, shopping at the farmers markets and what most places would consider the more expensive, the nicer food, you can still come in right around $100 to $150 a person for a month of food. So water for me is like $60 a month, and that includes the sewage. If I go over that 2,000 gallons, it goes up to $85. But that, like, I have to do like a lot of laundry or wash a car or something to go over that. So usually I don't. And I have a family of 5 like Katie does. So I'm doing laundry almost constantly. I'm doing dishes and all the normal things. So water, at least in this area, is about 60, and that's water and sewage. It's about 60 to 80. I don't think I'd ever go over 85 because that goes up to a 10,000 gallon limit, and you pretty much have to fill a swimming pool. For electric, what do you tend to pay monthly for electric?
Thankfully, I'm on the budgeting system, but it's about 100 to 120. Okay. We typically leave something running. I have a dog who has serious separation anxiety, so whether it's my Google Home, I have it play music for the dog, but when we had cable, we just left the TV on all the time, so something's always running.
Ours typically runs 60 to 90. So then we do pay for gas. She said she has propane. What does your propane bring out?
If it is between the months of typically April to November, I cook on a propane grill outside because I don't like my kitchen messy. I'm a heavy griller, especially for our meat. But like I said, I've just switched over here to propane on my oven. 100-pound tank will typically last on my oven 3 or 4 months. Depends on how heavily I use it though. If I'm cooking lots of sides and I'm not popping them in the microwave real quick to steam a bag of broccoli or something like that, it may last longer. Now I do only hook up the 25-pound tanks on my grill, so we go through those pretty quickly, and it's about $20 to get one of those filled up at the propane shop. And we fill up those I probably go through a 25-pound tank monthly during good months.
So how much does your 100-pound tank cost you?
100-pound tank cost me close to $100, maybe 120. I think I've only filled one or two of those up. So forgive me if I'm a little off on that.
We have natural gas, and again, our half-finished house makes like air leaks everywhere, so it's probably a little bit more for us. We do heat our house with the natural gas. We have a boiler, and we've got what's called radiant floor heat that we put in, and we also cook on our gas stove with gas oven, all the normal gas stove stuff. So for us, it's like, before I put it on the budget in the summer, when we were just mostly using our gas stove, it was $15 a month, and that was the minimum. Like, I cooked every day, I bake a lot, and it was $15 a month for the gas stove, basically. And at that point, we actually did heat our hot water with the gas as well. In the winter months, before it was on the budget, it could go up to $200 a month. Now that it's on the budget, they average it out. We're still heating, we're still cooking, and it tends to run for the natural gas bill about $90 a month. And that's keeping us up to date, so that the extra from the winter and all that, it goes away in the summer. So we've talked about water, we've talked about electric, we've talked about gas. Are there any utilities I'm forgetting? Like the normal people, I don't have them, but would cable be considered a utility?
I think a lot of people depend on something to at least get, we could either talk about cable, or we could talk about your phone bill, because if people aren't getting their news from the TV, they're getting it from their phone, from streaming, and that's a whole nother issue with West Virginia and the Hill.
We're not gonna. I'm actually gonna make an entire video on connectivity, being internet and cell phones and all that fun stuff. But basically, for the internet and all that, your rates are going to be pretty close to the national average, if not the national average. I know I don't personally pay for internet. My chosen internet is actually an AT&T hotspot, because AT&T has decent signal here, and to me it's a lot faster than most of the internet services you can get, and I don't pay as much. Do you pay for internet at your house?
I do. I pay for internet through the cable company, which is Comcast up here.
You have a data cap on that Comcast?
No, I don't believe so. I've never, if I have, I've never hit it.
Binge watching, you should if you had it.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So how much do you pay a month, and what would you say the speed and reliability is?
Reliability is top notch. When I lose power, I lose internet, which means I lose my phone service, because I have no phone service out where I live. So
is that by choice, or just because West Virginia is West Virginia?
West Virginia is West Virginia. Sometimes the leaves give you extra signal, and sometimes it's better when there's no leaves. I don't have signal out there. We've talked about getting a booster, but that runs you around $200 to $300 for a decent one to stick outside. I do have a booster through AT&T, and sometimes it causes more problems than it helps. Mm-hmm. So I do use Wi-Fi calling. But the reliability of Comcast has been wonderful. Even when I had them for cable, it was fantastic. The cost runs me, I like to have the fastest speed I can possibly get out of Comcast. There's different tiers, so you can get a little slower and pay a little less, and maybe there might be data caps on that at that point. But I pay around $100 to $120 a month for that. And to me, since I've cut cable out, it's worth it.
Right, so that's technically your phone service, your entertainment, your all of that. It's just that one bill. Mm-hmm.
I think the cost of eating out is, compared to major metropolitan areas, is definitely cheaper. One great thing about North Central West Virginia is they call us Little Italy of West Virginia. There is so many good Italian restaurants to go to. Mom and pop places by far exceed any kind of chain restaurant you're going to go to. We have fantastic Italian restaurants, and if you take the short drive to Morgantown, you have great Thai restaurants and Indian restaurants and Moroccan, and I can't even think, the sky's the limit up there. It's like any metropolitan area, it's grown incredibly in the last 10 to 12 years in terms of availability of different things and different cultures. The cost of entertaining yourselves is second to none. Around here, we've got minor league baseball teams. The tickets are cheap for that. Movie theaters galore if you like to go to the movies. There's lots of state parks, so that doesn't cost you anything.
And see, that's something that most people aren't going to understand, because West Virginia is actually unique in that most of our state parks are free. There are 2 or 3 that I can think of that do charge a small amount if you want into a certain area or a museum part, but for the most part you can just walk into our state parks.
Absolutely. There are people that actually own property that borders our state parks. So literally your backyard is a state park and it's free to go and sightsee, and a lot of them have playgrounds. There's one here in Marion County at Valley Falls. They have a fantastic playground. And when my kids are just restless and they're just over their own swing set and their own yard, and we've got probably 7 acres of wooded area that they're just tired of crawling all over, we head down to Valley Falls and they climb all over that playground equipment. We'll go down, we'll go for a walk on the trails, and it's free. We have rail trails to where you can go load up bicycles and take a bike ride for 4 or 5 miles. Wear those kids out. They'll sleep the whole way home. And you'll probably save money on treats and ice cream because they'll forget about it because they'll be asleep.
Okay, in that interview, I did not discuss taxes at all. It actually completely slipped my mind. For me personally, the most recent taxes I can find record of are my 2019 vehicle taxes. In 2019, we had a 2008 Dodge Durango. They valued it at just under $3,000. And for the entire year taxes, I paid just under $100. Also, as far as property taxes go, they are some of the lowest in the country. And I might put some links in the description for tax information, and you can play around with it and you can pull up different properties if you wanted. It's all public record, so you can actually pull up information and you can see. If I pull up my property taxes, and again, I do not have a typical standard property. We bought a very old, and as one of the people in the comments pointed out, it's very normal right now in West Virginia for there to be a lot of old abandoned houses, whether that be in town or out of town. They're everywhere and they're falling down. We bought one of those houses that wasn't quite falling down yet, but it definitely needed a lot of work. We gutted it. So our assessment right now is not full value, not what it would be worth. So my taxes are a little bit lower. So my most recent property taxes were just under $350. And as somebody asked, yes, our school taxes are included in our property taxes as well, because my house isn't normal. I have a 1/4 acre in town fixer-upper. But I also can tell you, for instance, on my parents' property, their most recent assessment, they have 2 acres outside of town with a house and a barn. They are assessed more around $67,000, and assessments are always low. So like if they were to list that house right now, they could probably sell it for about $150,000. And their total taxes for 1 year is just under $600. And that's just the rates on a property that you're living in. It's different if it's a rental or just land or whatever. So that's the tax rates for primary residence. If you have any other questions on taxes, or again, if you want me to make a video entirely on taxes and what we pay in West Virginia, let me know in the comments below and I will get that put together for you. To wrap things up, this is about what your budget could look like if you moved to West Virginia. Now for the exciting news. For those of you who are interested in moving to West Virginia, I am very pleased to announce that Katie and I have teamed up to better be able to take care of you. Also, for those of you who just watch the videos for the information, there will be future videos that Katie is in. Specifically, we will be asking her questions and following along as she takes that brand new property that she has recently bought and takes it from raw land to a functioning home. She will be putting in all of the utilities and putting a house on it and all of that stuff, and we will be following along with her every now and then as she does so to learn some of the ins, outs, costs, and a few of the things that she learns along the way that might be helpful to you. If you've enjoyed this video, please remember to click the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to hit the magical bell icon that lets you know when I set up new videos. And always remember that whether you're looking to live off the land, off the grid, or just off the beaten path, West Virginia has a lot to offer.